Yo, it always feels weird to record these kinds of reviews because for Act 3 of Natlan, we already have Act 4 available immediately. So it feels like, wait, I should just play both of them and then share my thoughts on that. But it's okay. I'll just share my quick thoughts on Act 3, and then I'm gonna play Act 4 right after this. Yeah, I think basically, yeah, this is pretty much a setup arc for Act 4, what's coming up next, because there does seem to be a climax with Ororon's plan and Capitano's plan. That's what I'm assuming is gonna happen in Act 4. I think that it is very weird that Xilonen is, the new 5-star character of this patch, the only 5-star character of this patch, and yet she doesn't really get much screen time nor too much significance other than being able to forge an ancient name, but also being unable to do it during this quest. And then, on the cover art for this act, she is pretty much in the background and is overshadowed by Chaska and the others. So it's a very weird thing. I think Xilonen is interesting. She doesn't have any like bad traits to me. It's like, oh, I just want to see more of her. I just want to see like more personality and such from her. It's cool that she's friends with Mavuika. That's pretty rad. They're like on pretty casual terms with each other. I just think, maybe Xilonen could have been utilized more because definitely she got overshadowed by the rest of the cast in this act. So the main ones being Ororon, Capitano, and Citlali. So yeah, basically we're trying to get an ancient name from Xilonen, but because we're not from Natlan, it's a little difficult to do that. So we might have to get some acknowledgments from the 6 different Wyubs in Natlan, or we could also talk to Citlali, who is the master of the Nightwind's tribe, and may have some insight as to how we can get our ancient name. But before that, we get some intel from Kinich that it's actually Ororon, the one that helped Capitano escape. So this does add to my previous claim that Capitano did retreat, even though he fought. He even admits later that he would have died if it wasn't for Ororon. But anyways, yeah, so it's like, oh, why would someone from the Nightwind's tribe help Capitano? And it's pretty cool because what is the focus of this act is that it establishes that there are 3 people trying to seek the same thing just through different means. So Mavuika, Capitano, and Ororon, they're all trying to save Natlan. That's the end goal, right? It's just how they get there that's different. So their methods are different. And it's really highlighted. I think for Citlali, I think just talking about the gags first, I suppose that her granny persona is kind of similar to Farujin, even though I have still yet to play Farujin's Hangout. But anyways, Citlali is really old, and so everyone calls her granny, and she calls like people around her grandchildren. So Ororon calls her granny, and then she calls Ororon her grandson. And she's a pretty caring person and has a lot of interesting quirks, actually. I actually thought they were quite entertaining. So the fact that she is able to portray her thoughts to other people, but not notice that her thoughts are being read by other people, I thought that was a pretty funny and interesting part of her character. There's also some imposter syndrome going on with her, with even though the fact that she's hundreds of years old, she doesn't have the best interactions and social awareness with people. And naturally, because this is a gotcha game, of course, we're the first one that she ever opens up to. In all of her hundreds of years of living, it's us, the player, that is the first one that she opens up to. Very well done marketing, of course. But, anyways, the other thing is that she does get pretty drunk easily. So we get some food with her to try to figure out the whole Ororon case and then the whole ancient name case, and she gets drunk. I thought that was pretty funny. I think this is probably the first character, if not the first character in a very long time that we've seen actually get drunk. So it's nice that the story is putting more drunkenness. Not to advocate for drinking. I do like drinking, but it's just nice to see people actually get drunk because there is alcohol in this world. I mean, there are taverns in Mondstadt and such. So it's just nice seeing like an actual playable character getting drunk and just having some fun. The voice actors for Citlali had a lot of fun going over these drunk lines. But yeah, Citlali is mainly involved here because of her personal relationship to Ororon, and she's sad. She's disappointed that Ororon is still hung up with the past, and so I think one of the plot lines later will be how does Citlali and Ororon come to understand each other better, right? And so yeah, let's talk about Ororon. So he's someone that was raised as an orphan and he has a fragmented soul. So that gave like an opportunity for the Masters of the Nightwind tribe to have a ceremony in order to use him as a tool to help rebel against the abyss, right? To fight against the abyss. So to him, to Ororon, he sees himself as a tool, but the ceremony didn't succeed, which makes him feel guilty, even though Citlali Citlali had a moment where she could have stopped the ceremony from even happening because if it did succeed, Ororon would have died. But thankfully, it failed, so he didn't die. And so Citlali has some guilt as well because she could have had some, because she could have stopped the ceremony from happening, but she hesitated. She just was a neutral party. So that's some character conflict that can be resolved. And Ororo himself, I think it boils down to, I mean, I think it's pretty clear what the story is setting up here. It's setting up Ororon to be a character who wants to sacrifice himself, to make use of the tool that he sees himself as when he isn't a tool, right? It's because he didn't have a good upbringing, and so he thinks of himself as a tool, and the character arc will be how does he see himself as a human and value his own life. And so that's definitely what it's setting up here. He wants to support Capitano, I think, because Capitano's plan is to save Natlan, and it can basically succeed the ceremony that Ororon was a part of. So that's where their common interests lie. Ororon himself is actually a pretty interesting guy. So he looks pretty emo, like for his character design, but he talks really politely and such. So I think that's a pretty cool contrast with his character design and then the way he speaks. So yeah, he's a pretty interesting character. I don't know if I'll get him like when he comes out, but yeah, we'll see. But basically, yeah, I'm pretty sure what's gonna happen is that in Act 4 we'll probably see Ororon trying to be used in sacrifice, and he's gonna be like okay with it, right? But we're gonna probably convince him and show him that no, his life is valuable. Now let's talk about Capitano. Io Capitano, my goat. I hope he's playable, but I really like that his involvement in Natlan is both personal because it's very heavily implied that he's Natlan born, and so he has a personal connection with Natlan and wanting to save Natlan. And there's a cool conflict here because he admits that he does not want to use the Gnosis for the Tsaritsa. He wants to use it personally just for Natlan, for saving Natlan, which I think is a great addition because compared to Arlecchino asked the Tsaritsa to first use the Fontaine Gnosis to help save Fontaine and then give it to the Tsaritsa. But then compare it with Capitano, where Capitano wants to use the Gnosis solely for Natlan, which is cool because we have the first of the Fatui Harbingers, the very first, above Dottore, probably below Piero, but still, it's the very first of the Fatui Harbingers, potentially having some conflict with the Tsaritsa because he's using the Gnosis for his own personal gains and not for the Tsaritsas. There might be more to that, but the way it's presented, I think it's cool because it makes him different from Arlecchino. And yeah, he disapproves of Mavuika's plans. How he knows about Mavuika's plan, we don't know, but it would make sense to me that he was from Natlan, and maybe he was one of the heroes that was on the way to become the Pyro Archon in some way, shape, or form. I mean, I'm going to play Act 4 and we'll see what happens, but yeah, I think it's very interesting. And Mavuika herself, I don't have much to say about her in this particular act. I think that us telling her about the captain's plans is good because it kind of like opens up her to us. But for now, there's not too much. So yeah, I kind of think I'll just have to see what happens in the next act. Oh yeah, and then finally Chaska and her sister Chuichu, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but yeah, they found that the Fatui were looking for the source mechanism, which is probably part of Capitano's plan. He's probably gonna use the source mechanism with Ororon in some way. It's interesting that Mavuika doesn't know about what the source mechanism is. So it's like, oh, Capitano has more information up on this tool from Natlan than Mavuika. So yeah, again, Capitano. Probably a Natlan born Pyro Archon level character. But yeah, anyways, I guess, yeah, thank you for listening to my little rant on Act 3. Just a quick little video I just wanted to share just because I do have some thoughts. But yeah, I'm going to play Act 4 now, and then we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to it. Like, legit, I just want more, like, actual Abyss involvement. Everyone keeps saying, oh, the Abyss keeps attacking. Oh, the Abyss is here. Oh, no, what are we going to do against the Abyss? But, like, there was, like, this little scene with Moalani, Kachina, Xilonen in the Children of the Echoes where we fight off some Abyss monsters, but it's just generic Abyss stuff. Like, oh, we've done this a million times. Like, show me like the actual Abyss. Show me like the actual threat. Show me like 50 Abyss Lectors attacking a place at once. Like, show the Abyss involvement. Hell, bring some of the the Dishonored one, or not the Dishonored one, but like that one Abyss god person, right? I just want more like actual Abyss involvement, non like generic enemies of the Abyss, right? None of the fodder ones. I want like actual threats. So yeah, I really hope we see that. Hopefully we do. I don't know if we will, just because of I don't know if we'll ever get an Abyss character that we can play. But anyways, that's my main gripe. Just show me more Abyss. So hopefully, yeah, we'll see. But yeah. Anyways, thank you. Yeah, I'll have Act 4 video soon. So yeah, there it is. Thank you. See you.